most people believe today. Everything that happens is the will of God. God administrates everything. No, there's people dying for the lack of knowledge. The sword of the tongue is killing things. There's men reaping what they've sowed. There's willfulness and obstinance and unrepentance and sin that is costing humanity a whole lot. And God isn't willing any of it. See, that's where we get in big mistakes. Yeah, but He allowed it. The most pitiful, dangerous doctrine on the face of the planet. There's a level of sovereignty we can't deny. Look, if God wasn't sovereign, every drunk driver would die. And kill somebody with them. How's that for reality? Come on, if sovereignty and mercy wasn't holding back the devil, as soon as he had a legal right to you, he'd take you out. It's only the sovereignty of God that has you sitting here. Who's done things that should have really messed them up and they didn't get messed up? It's called sovereignty. You follow me? If there wasn't sovereignty, everybody that ever sinned would just get taken out. Come on, let's think on this stuff. God is amazing. Just have good news for you. Not everything that happens is the will of God. A whole lot of things that happen aren't the will of God. If men are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, let's get the knowledge and stop the destruction. And stop blaming God and coming up with theology that accepts it and puts it on Him. Because after a while, it's hard to be intimate with Him because He's so confusing. And why is He killing everybody? Well, how can I trust He gave me these two precious kids? How can I be sure I'm even going to watch them grow up the way God is? He just seems to be taking people from the earth. And all of a sudden, I'm afraid. And all of a sudden, I can't even get close to Him because I'm not even sure who He is. We've made Him almost like schizophrenic. Like one minute He wants to show mercy, and the next minute He wants to take your kids from you. And we're supposed to just understand because He's God and He has a bigger wisdom. And we're supposed to understand now that Christ came. The thief comes to steal, kill, destroy, but I have come for life and life more abundant. Pretty clear job description. You know, we say, well, these hurricanes and these disasters, it's just God. Retribution on sin, it's the judgment of God. He took out New Orleans. You better knock it off because He should have took out your neighborhood as well. Man, that is just so foolish. God judging the earth. God judging the earth. All those people dying. Not everybody that lives in New Orleans is a reprobate. There's innocent people dying in a tsunami. I know a man that ministered and was a missionary to churches in Burma, and thousands of Christians in one moment died that were praying, God-fearing, that had more heart than you and I have ever shown for the gospel. Swallowed up in a moment. Christians at the cost of their life, losing loved ones for the faith. And we'll sit and say God's judging a nation, forgetting that there's thousands of innocent people losing their life right there in a moment. Some people that have walked in way more integrity than I've ever walked in. Been in positions I've never been tried with. That passed every test, that gave their loved ones for the gospel and still have a good attitude. And all of a sudden a wave takes them out with the rest and we call it judgment. Well, then we ought to all be judged. God's not partial. God's not biased. If you open up that kind of theology, you're asking the world to be flooded again. Christians ought to take authority and understand the righteous judgment of God. Man. Got to get a grip on this stuff. It is arrogance to assume that all this stuff is God's hand wiping out all these people and babies and kids and stuff. And then you want to cry if something bad happens to your family member when you're saying God took all those people out? Hello? See how selfish that is and deceived and how twisted and confusing? We talk and don't understand. Where'd the wind come from? Well, I can tell you it wasn't God.